So what we're going to do today is talk a little bit about mobile computing and how that integrates with the way we do business today. So I just have a few slides, and then I'm going to actually go into a little presentation using an iPad. And I also have the application on my Droid phone. So if anyone's interested in seeing that after some other time, you can find me. A couple of us have it on our phones, and we can show you what that looks like as well. I brought a couple handouts just for the iPad and the Android. They have them for all the other smartphones like Blackberries, as well as a Windows phone. So they're all available if you want any literature on the other ones, but I didn't want to print too many before I came, so that's what I brought today. So what I'm going to do today is to start off with just a kind of quick history lesson. So when we first do business, we have meetings, conference calls, things like this. This is what it looks like today, right? We had to get in the room. It's kind of cluttered. A lot going on, a lot of paper, right? We're trying here to work that paper out of the equation. And everyone has to be in one location. So what's the problem with a situation like this? Well, obviously we do have a lot of paper. The rooms get crowded. And if a key person isn't in that meeting, they're not in that room, then there's a dynamic there that you're missing. If you need to get information, you need to solve problems quickly, you want everybody together at that one time. So as we evolved here, now we have this ability to do conference calls, right? Telephone in from wherever you are. And you can join other people who are in a meeting. But what are the problems still with that today? Well, we don't have that face-to-face interaction. Obviously, there can be distractions in different areas and things like that. And it's kind of hard to collaborate, which means you can't see what everyone's looking at, right? So if I'm talking through a slide deck, nobody can see it unless they're in that room with me. So as we start to evolve even more, we go into video conferencing now, okay? So video conferencing allows us to now connect with different locations. So I can see them on the screen, they can see me, we can even open up documents together and look at these together and work on them. What's the problem still? Well, you have to be in one of those offices that are connected, right? If you're not in that office, if you're home, if you have an illness, you have a sick child, whatever the case might be, you may have to be home. And now you can't connect in, but maybe through just a telephone. So where does that take us to? Ideally, smartphones and smart devices, okay? We'll use the term smartphone a lot, but we're really talking about anything that's a device, including all of the pad technology like the iPad or the Google Zoom and some of these other devices. So now this allows us to connect from our phone. Has anyone ever tried a GoToMeeting from their phone yet? Well, it works, okay? There's a GoToMeeting app for the iPhone as well as the Droid, and you can actually connect to meetings through GoToMeeting. So also with devices, you'll be able to connect, see everybody on the screen, see the documents, see the content that you're talking about in a meeting to keep everybody on the same page. And ultimately, that helps us get to solutions quicker. If everyone's on the same page, you can see everything at the same time. It's much faster. You don't have to say, well, I'll email you this document. Take a look at it. No, I'm on page 11 now. So they go, hold on. And they catch up to that person, and now everyone has to get caught up again. So this eliminates some of those problems. So mobile computing, it's not a trend. What does that mean? Well, everybody's got a cell phone at one point. Now everybody's got almost a smartphone. So a trend is something that kind of comes and goes, right? Kind of like parachute pants or any of those kind of cool things we all did in the 80s. I'm looking in your direction, Mike. But a trend means it's just that, a trend, but it's not a trend. Mobile computing is a reality. It's a part of our everyday life, and it's not going to go away. So we need to embrace it and start figuring out a way that we can use this to our advantage to get things done quicker. So here's a group of people all probably talking to each other, right? About 1 foot away. Right? My wife will text me, hey, it's time for dinner when I'm sitting on the couch about 8 feet away. So technology is different now. Kids are growing up with technology. There's computers in the kindergartens now, things like that. So kids can pick up your iPad and know how to do it. It's just natural to them, which is we have to learn and adapt to these things. So it's time that we have to start embracing it early because the next generations as they come up are already going to know how to do all this technology. So we need to kind of get up to speed ourselves, okay? I'm a little new to the iPad and some of these other ones myself. I didn't have this. These just came out recently. So a couple fun facts here. First of all, did you know that 15.4 million iPads were sold last quarter? Okay, that's more than computers. If this trend continues, more people are going to start doing away with home computing and moving to this iPad technology. It's easy to get everything. It's easier to see emails, to type, to view documents now because the screen's large enough. The phones they couldn't quite cut it all the way. But the iPads are that answer now that we've been looking for. 449 million smartphone users in 2011. Okay, that's a lot of people. We're all probably in that number, okay, or know everyone else who is in that number. Even countries that you wouldn't expect, some of these so-called third world countries and things, have smartphone devices, they have internet access, they have this functionality. On average, people check their phone 34 times a day. How many times are you walking, you just pick up your phone and look, right? Did I get a new email? Did I get a new message? Did I get a new text? Even when your phone's off, the vibrate mode or the volume's off, you're still picking it up constantly, right? I could probably count about 6 of you checking your phones right now. So, it happens all the time, and it actually becomes a habit. You just naturally want to go there. If I walk out of the house, I do the triple pat, right? Keys, wallet, phone, and I walk out the house. If one of those pockets is empty, I go back in and get it. So it's just part of my routine. It's natural. We're going to do this every day now, going forward. This is an interesting fact. 45% of the U.S. workforce has jobs that are compatible with teleworking, being able to do your job from outside of a brick and mortar office. The people who do telework today and telecommute have saved this much. So if you are talking about going green and saving the economy as well as the environment, 390 million gallons of gas did not have to be utilized from these individuals not having to drive to an office on a certain amount of days. And just another one for those of you who are into the environment. Some of these jobs, if you worked a portion of your week at home, you could reduce a lot of consumption of foreign oil as well as some other things. So just interesting facts to keep in mind that this technology is going to lead us that direction and allow us to take advantage of some of these benefits. So not only can you get work done maybe more efficiently or quicker, but you can also help out the economy as well as the environment. Okay? So what can mobile devices actually do? Can I do everything I need to do from a device? Am I still limited on what it can do? Well, here's some of the things we can do. We can get connected. We can get access. Obviously, email is popular. Interaction and delivery. So what these mean is, we kind of looked at this in some of the earlier slides, connecting. So connecting means we can do things like video conferencing now. We can actually get connected to individuals through our smartphone devices. Access. I can view information now. I can actually view what's going on in that GoToMeeting on my phone. I can actually view a document somebody sends me. Email. Obviously now we can get email notifications, but this allows us to respond quickly, instantly. And we can send that back to individuals and we can communicate. So wherever you are, we can get a hold of you. If you need to make an important decision, you don't have to be in the office to make it. Interaction. So this allows us to now fill out and start off a process. Maybe we need to fill out an electronic form from a website to kick off a process. We can do that now from our smartphones. We can execute tasks. We can make a decision. We can collaborate. So you can actually sign documents and all of those things that you can do in a workflow process from your smartphone device. And delivery. If we need to deliver or send information out, if I make a FOIA request into a county, they can instantly send me that document back when it's facilitated, right back to my smartphone device, and I can get that instantly. I don't have to wait weeks for it to get processed, stamped, and mailed out. I don't even have to wait till I get home and check my email at home. So these are some of the things we can do. So with smartphones, we have these mobile integrations now for OnBase. Okay? So they've created them for all of the individual platforms because they're a little different. Now these are actual clients. So it's a little thing you would download. So if you have a Droid phone or Apple, you would go to the store. So you go to the Apple store, you can download the application, and it will put that little icon, a little OnBase icon right on your device, allow you to get access into your system. So this is a direct client integration. So this allows me to view some custom queries, view workflow, do some activity monitoring and things like that, and we'll kind of show you those here in a little bit of a demonstration as we move forward. So they do have these individually. So if your organization has settled on a specific platform, saying we're all going to endorse the iPhone, then you can purchase just that component and allow users to interact with the iPhone, and the other ones you don't have to worry about. If you're allowing anyone to use whatever device they want, you may have to acquire all of them, and there's typically a bundled type way of acquiring that licensing component to allow that. So when you have these licensed, there's a small installer you do to create another, essentially a virtual directory, so that your devices can connect to that differently than how a standard web client user or somebody would connect to your system. Once you have that in place, it's very easy to do. Then they can access and start interacting with OnBase directly from their device. Okay?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Before I forget it later. You said it's different than the web client. We don't have the web app. We don't have the web server. Do you need the web server?
Yes, it's actually facilitated by the web server in the background.
Okay.
So you will need a web server.
And then you also need a mobile web apps broker by your diagram?
Once you license these components, you get the mobile broker is the kind of the web component. So it's an installer on top of your web server that allows your devices to connect through that area. So are there any other questions before we kind of move on to a little bit of a demonstration? Yes?
I understand you're saying this is not a trend. It's something that's coming, but why, in our county IT department, for instance, there's been a lot of pushback against going in this direction and saying it's not a safe way to have any kind of secure information going back and forth, and because of the problems with all of these different mobile devices, they don't want to consider iPads, they don't want to consider iPhones, and I'm not sure how to break that cycle.
Okay.
Thought.
There's a couple ways to look at it. One possible thing is the encryption of information, right? Once it's kind of pulled outside your organization, there's always a security concern. So once there's a way to encrypt the information, like there's a briefcase component where you can take documents offline, they're encrypted when they're offline. So if your laptop gets lost or stolen, nobody can really get into that information. Okay? They still need to log in, and then they're going to need to decrypt the information. Okay? So there's ways to put in controls into workflow and things like that as well to stop people from downloading and saving them. So when I'm viewing documents, I'm viewing it from your server. I'm not actually loading anything or downloading anything on my machine. There's some temporary download that takes place, but nothing's actually stored on the device itself.
Okay.
So there's some security measures that can be put in place around that. And you definitely have to have a plan in place. You don't just install this and say, hey, everyone, have fun. You have to put some controls in place, and there's a certain amount of planning that would go into this to make sure that you have all the security in place to manage this. Any other questions?
Does the knowledge to do this kind of thing require a whole different IT kind of background? So is part of the difficulty that IT departments and counties would have to shift out employees and get people with different skill sets to be able to handle an implementation like this?
To manage it?
Yeah.
No, it's all part of OnBase still. So your OnBase administrators would be able to manage this in the same way. Essentially, it is just another virtual directory in your web server area, so there's not another component to manage. And a lot of people have multiple virtual directories already.
Pretty straightforward from the usage standpoint.
We have a, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so representing the IT side of things, where we'd say, hey, wait a minute.
Yes.
I think that one of the things that we would be looking at is where does this traffic go? We're used to running all of our document management securely within our internal network. So if we're plugged into our county network, we know that your devices have the appropriate security on them. We know that the network traffic is staying within our network. And then when you take something like this, it's going to go off somehow over the public internet, and we just want to know, whether that traffic is encrypted. Does your device have appropriate, password security on it, so nobody else can just pick up your iPad and slide that thing and touch the icon and read? Those are the kinds of things that we want to know. That's sort of why I'm here, is to say, how would you do that in a secure way? That's what I'm curious about. So I think that some of it sounds like stop, but some of it's I think it's sort of rooted in we just want to make sure that it works and secure. So it can come off sounding very much as
So
we don't want to.
in my case here, I'll show you with mine. I've connected to a server back at our office, and I've just VPN'd in. So you can VPN from a device or a phone, just like you would from a computer. Once you're VPN'd in, you have that secure encrypted tunnel now for data transfer.
So just when you say VPN, does that mean you've got to have a VPN client on your device?
Yes, and
Or is
that's
that part
also
of the onboarding?
downloadable, depending on what you use, obviously. Here I just have the Cisco VPN AnyConnect client. You can download from the App Store for free. Okay?
And then you need the VPN stuff on your other side, just to kind of
Right.
Yeah.
That's a support.
Is that?
That's a support, IT support.
Yes, that is.
Okay?
That should generally be.
So what I'm going to do is switch over to the iPad, and we'll walk through a couple things.
Hey, Terry,
Yes.
can you go into a little bit of detail, just what that means to be VPN in?
Okay?
VPN in.
For those of you who know or don't know from the non-IT as well, a VPN is a virtual private network. It makes a secure connection between 2 points. Okay? So most people, when they're at home and things like that, you're on your own home computer and you don't have access in, or when you take your computer off, you're not plugged into your network at work. So you can't log in and get to network shares and some of the other things you would get to. The VPN is a way to securely connect to your domain or to your system at your workplace, and then allow you to access the data, the files, just like you would be browsing a network sitting at your desk at work. So that VPN connection is also available on these smartphone devices. So you don't actually have to be at a computer. You can still VPN in from a phone or from a tablet PC, allowing you to get to network shares. Is there another question? Nope. Okay. So what I'm going to do first is, I got the iPad here, is what I have is the screen that you're seeing on mine is the same screen that is showing over there, as long as it stays plugged in.
As long as you don't tip it sideways.
Okay,
That's right.
this cord's not the best.
Don't tip it.
I asked for a little more, but so what I'm going to do is we'll walk through a few things that you can do with this in regards to how you could use it in it's kind of a government or just in accessing information from your network or your enterprise capture system that you're utilizing. So what I'm going to do is select the web browser. So obviously with the web browser, you can go in and access a lot of different information. Whether you're going into some portal like True Filing, you can get into any of these different areas very quickly. If you wanted to go to any websites, right, you can obviously browse through, and maybe I wanted to connect somewhere and do a sign up. So I can fill out these e-forms very quickly. I can get here and type that in. As soon as I click in here, I get the keyboard. I can fill out an electronic form and submit that in. And an e-form, for those of you who are familiar with OnBase and Workflow, can be the initiator of a workflow process. So this can be not only a user on your network, but it can be any of your constituents out there. So if I wanted to ask for a certified document request or a FOIA request or any type of information I need to submit into the county, I can do that from this device as well. So not only from users of the network, but it can be anybody in the world who needs to connect or integrate. So there's ways to fill out that information. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to select an electronic form. So here's just an e-form that can be posted again to your extranet, your website, that anybody who has access to the internet can go on and fill this form out. Now I can do this anywhere in the world. When I'm sitting here waiting for a game to finish, I'm at the Tiger game, right? I can go ahead and fill this out and get some work done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select some information, just fill this out. So I can fill this out, time off type. Let's say I am going on paid time off. And as you can see, this form is just an OnBase form, and I'm going to take tomorrow off. And what the heck, I'll take the whole week off. Anybody object? All right, I don't know how many hours that is. Okay. So I can go ahead and fill this out, and that will submit this information all the way to the OnBase system that e-form is configured to go to. I don't even have to know anything about it. I just know I can submit the form, and I'm done, and I'll get a notification back automatically if you want to set it up that way. So here I can have just a thank you page saying thanks for submitting your form, so forth and on through your website. So that's one kind of way we can interact and do e-forms right from the website. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to open up the OnBase client. You'll see at the bottom here I have this OnBase logo. Okay? This is going to take me right into the OnBase client. So now I'm a user of the system, and I want to log in and look up a document. Maybe I need to research a document or find some information on it. So I'm going to log in as Joe Brown. Okay. So this is my OnBase login, just like you would have to authenticate on any system that, or any OnBase component. So now it's going to ask me, what do you want to do? I only have custom queries and workflow available to me. There's some other things you can do with the client, but these are the only ones that this user has access to. I'm going to select the custom query. And now it's going to take me into here. And on the left side, I have two custom queries, a case search and a document search. On the right are going to be the parameters I can fill out, just like you would if you've created your own custom queries in OnBase. So for here, I'm going to do a case search. I'm just going to go and type in a number. I'm going to hit the little binoculars to start my search. And here I've got 4 documents that have been returned to me that match that criteria. Now again, these are stored in OnBase somewhere else. It could be stored at your facility or in a hosted environment if you're using an OBOL type situation. I'll just open up this first document. What's also nice here is this could be a 30-page document, but you see how quickly that opened. It just streams down the first page, the one I'm looking at. If I go to the next page, it's going to bring that one down now. So I don't have to wait for a 50 or 30 or 60-page document to load. I can start viewing the content immediately. Okay? And as I toggle through, just like you can with any device that has the screen, see, I can just simply scroll back and forth by pulling my hand. Very easy to scroll through pages. Okay, and this is a 4-page document that I can quickly go through and view all the information on it. There's a little key up on the top right. That's going to show me the keyword information associated. If you have permissions to view keywords in OnBase, you can view them right here, as well as the notes. The next tab is going to show me the notes. So any notes that have been applied or annotations, I can see those in here. I can also click on it if I wanted to edit that. Question?
Is there a way, let's say it was a 30-page document, is there a way to go from page 2 to page 30 without sliding through all the other pages?
Yes, there is a way. You can actually hold down, and there's like a go-to, and then you can pick the page number. That's a good question. So here you can edit into the note and make your changes if you wanted to. I can just tap to have it go away if I didn't want to see that any longer. So this is a quick way to get in and view the document that I might want to see. I'll go and try a different search now. I'm just hitting the back button to take me back to my initial custom query choices. I'm going to select my document search now. So this one has some other parameters I can search documents by. And again, the queries are based on your user privileges. So even though I'm a certain user, I can't go in and see, HR documents if I'm dealing with circuit court records. That's all that I'll be able to see.
You said they were just like the custom queries for like the thick client.
Yep, these are the exact same queries.
The exact same queries.
Yep.
It's not a copy of the query. We have to maintain queries and choose.
No, it's the same one. There's a checkbox in there that you just say available in mobile client. One checkbox, and now your mobile users can access it. So again, back to the maintenance of mobile devices. It's that simple. And a workflow queue the same way. If you want that workflow queue to be visible to a mobile, there's one box. You check it in that queue now, and and any tasks you want. You can individually make some tasks available and some not. So even though I have access to 4 tasks, maybe in my mobile I can only do 3 because of a security concern. The 4th one I shouldn't be able to run from here. That's up to you guys and how you want to manage that. So I'm going to go and select the past month. So I'm going to select May to June, and then I'll just do that as my search criteria. And now you can see the hit list of information that I have, all the different documents that I can open. I'll open this one down here. So here's an order that I've opened up. Again, I have access to, and just like other touchscreen technology, I can do the pinch, zoom, pull around. Okay, so it's very easy to navigate and get to what you want. Users who are very comfortable with these, once you start doing this a lot, and then you go to a mouse again, you're like, now I got to go click the little zoom or zoom it with the mouse. This is just so easy to do and move around. It's just you'll end up really liking this type of client. And it's going to get more and more functionality as it goes. Obviously, we know it's not a trend. It's going to be a lot of development in these going forward. So they're going to be able to do a lot more functionality as we move on.
Can you true sign? And do you have to buy anything additional to true sign through this?
Well, I will talk to you that in 1 second, okay? I would love to sell you something, so let me just know. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch to workflow, and we'll kind of address some of those concerns as well. So this is the query. It's just a way to view documents. I can go back to my main screen, but at the very top in the middle, you'll see a magnifying glass and a little arrow paper icon. That arrow one is what's going to take me now into workflow. Okay? So I logged on as Joe Brown, which is a judge in my case. So I'm the judge. I only have one queue that I'm worried about, or one workflow, and these are the 4 queues that are part of that workflow. So I can see an inbox that has a document, a signature queue that has 2 documents, doc review, and so forth, and an under advisement queue. So these are the documents in my queue. I'm going to go ahead and select one of these, and I'll open that up. So now the judge can view this document. It's proposed order. Maybe he needs to sign this document. Again, I can view the keyword information for this. I can go in and view the notes. This one has 2 notes. One's a sign here anchor. So if the clerk applies that sign here anchor ahead of time, or if it's auto-applied because we know the document and where that signature should go, then it'll be easy for us to sign. And there's a yellow note that I had applied as a clerk, Cindy Smith, and she applied that note. So same security and everything applies. If a judge can see the notes, he will. The next one on here is the related documents. So that related window is invaluable to workflow, right? I can't make a decision or sign this necessarily unless I see some other supporting information. So if this is a proposed order, maybe I need to see the motion. So now I can select another document, a supporting document to this one, and now I can view them side by side here. Okay, so I have 2 documents open, and I can view those to help make that decision on whether I should sign or deny this. Okay, I can just hit this to have that window go away. And on this last button here at the top, these are the tasks I can perform. Okay, again, that's on your right side of your, whether in your thick client or maybe in the middle if you're in the web client. These are those workflow tasks I can perform based on who I am and where I am in the process. So now I can add a judge note here, which is a confidential note that only the judges can see. So I can apply that here, and then nobody else would be able to see it. I can sign with TrueSign. I can route it to the clerk. I can deny the signature, or I can append, which would send it to my under advisement queue if I needed to review it in more detail later. Okay? So the signing here, we can use TrueSign here, but how it works is I click the task, and then it executes on the server. So it knows who I am, because I'm logged in. It knows the anchor point. So now we can apply my signature to that location. What we can't do yet is the markup functionality, where I can actually mark up the document and do a free form, float my signature into a spot, and apply it. Okay? That's currently not in the mobile integration right now, but it's on our roadmap, and we'll be there as soon as we can. So, but you can sign by clicking the TrueSign button. That would simply launch into a type of screen here, and you can simply submit, and that would apply that signature to the location that you needed to. Okay? So now I've submitted, I've signed the document. It routed out of my queue. I only have the one left in my queue. So same way it would work in any type of workflow. If the rules dictate it routes out of here as well. So under my docket review, I'm going to open up one of these here. Here's an electronic form. So for those using electronic forms, these often get generated based on a workflow or process. So sometimes they're filled out to initiate, sometimes they're just created automatically. So here's one that gets created for every docket entry that we go through, has its own docket e-form. So I can see this e-form, and I can go through, and if I needed to, I can click in here and I can edit and type into this e-form. So if I wanted to add my comments and my things like that, I can do that information, as well as I can see the keywords again. Any notes or annotations would show up here to be read. Here's my related documents. So I can see 3 related documents. So these are the documents associated to this calendar entry, this one docket. There's obviously more documents in the case, but I can only see 3 that are associated. If I wanted to see more, you could have a task that allows me to show everything. So I hit the Show All button. Now if I go back to my related, I have more than the 3 documents. So there's different things we can do, and this is really triggering on that application server. So these connect directly to your application server at your location. Okay? So that's a little bit about interaction with workflow. Any questions about custom queries or workflow? You guys loving it? It's kind of quiet out there, so I just want to make sure. Still got you. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log out. I'm going to log in a different area just so I can show you one more aspect that's been added. But I have to connect to a different system. So give me 1 second to change this really quick. Oops. One more thing. Okay, so now I'm just going to log in as a different user here. Okay, so I logged in as a different user. We talked about the custom queries in the workflow, but there's also now we have this activity monitoring. So now I'm kind of a supervisor or a manager of a workflow process. So now I can log in and actually see some activity monitor of this. So if you're familiar with Status View or some of the activity portlets that can be utilized in either Status View or even SharePoint, these are some ways for me to access information about what's going on in a workflow right now. So now I have two processes here. Maybe I'm the AP manager or the finance director, and I want to see where things are at. So if I'm on my payable invoices, I can open up this, and this is real-time view into that workflow, showing me the counts, where things are at, the load balance allocation, all the things that are taking place in that workflow. So even if I'm not there, right, Big Brother's still watching you, right? It doesn't matter where I am. I know exactly who's doing their work and who isn't. And I can simply just toggle right through the other views and look at some of this other information. These watermarks can be set to kind of notify you when things are, say, if this Q count ever gets to 11, you let me know. There should never be more than 10 in here. Then it can let you know that. Obviously, email notifications can go out and things like that as well. But if I'm actually looking in here, and then I can go in here and view this, and now I can see the allocation of work to my 4 individuals who are working a particular queue inside of OnBase. I can see the allocation, making sure it's even, and then I can work to reallocate if necessary. Okay, so that's a little bit about some of the things we can do with the client within OnBase. So this is the OnBase specific client for mobile devices that we're looking at. You can also log in, if you do have a web server, directly into the web client. So I can open up the browser and just go into the web client that way as well. These are made for the device so that the viewing is nicer, the toggling, some of the shortcuts and things like that are all made for the device. So it's a little bit easier and quicker to utilize. Okay, so I'm going to log out of here. So a few other things that you can do. Again, that's a user of the system, of the OnBase system. So if we just take one step back again and say, well, maybe I'm not a user in the OnBase world. Maybe I'm a constituent and I just need to, I've requested a certified document or something from your organization and it's been sent to me. I can go on with any device now and get that. So if I'm going to a law firm and or an insurance agency and they need a certified copy, maybe I forgot to bring it with me. I'm like, oh, hold on 1 second. I do this, I do this, I do this. And as soon as it loads, here's my certified document sent to me securely through the portal. Okay? This is a PDF document. PDFs toggle up and down. TIFFs toggle left and right. And now I can have this secured document sent to me. It's got the certified seal. So if you're SAT True certified, you got some information about that. This is a document certified on this portal. I can go to that website and visit that and get a copy of this document at any time or for the duration that it's on there. And this one says 90 days. So another thing you can do with these, you'll notice that mobile tag in the bottom. So you can take any device. So if you have that paper document and you don't want to type out that long encryption key or copy and paste it even, you would just open up your barcode reader. Okay? And you can download a barcode scanner from any of the apps. They're free. And you can scan. And then it'll pull up, and then you can view the document right on your handheld devices and things like that. So that mobile tag is a QR, which is a quick response code. You start to see these around. People put them. They essentially take you to websites for more information, is what those are used for. So that mobile tag has the encryption key and the file locator built in. So that's a little bit about other ways that you can utilize a smart device. You can actually get to documents. So if I made a request, I can get that instantly wherever I'm at. I don't have to be, again, sitting at a computer at home to get the information that I wanted to get to. So that is a little bit about the mobile devices. I know I focused on the iPad mostly just because that one's the easiest to put up on the screen. But again, if you wanted to see anything with the Droid, feel free to ask me. Mike also has it in the back, so stop him. He'd be happy to show you how it looks on a Droid or an Android operating system. And there are a couple flyers again up there for those. If you need additional information, feel free to let me know at any time. So we'll open it up for last questions. Yes.
Do you have any counties or courts or government offices that have started using this yet, using the on-base, where you might be able to begin to build some traction as to go in this direction?
I don't think ImageSoft does specifically. OnBase Highland has customers using the mobile devices, but I don't believe any of the ImageSoft customers have actually went this way.
I've got one customer in Texas, a municipal court in Texas, that they're looking at it. They've even piloted it a little internally, but they haven't bid off yet to actually go that route. So it's starting, it's just not quite there yet.
We're fudging. We're using a Citrix client, and then you're going basically through Windows, off your iPad into Windows securely to get at. So our prosecuting attorney is using that. So
In which county are you in?
Washtenaw County. So it's not this client, but it's basically accessing a desktop that has all those documents. It's not as slick and as cool feeling as an iPad app, but it has access.
And that's what we're all about, slick and cool. So
slick and cool and a few more components.
yeah.
So
We're all about it.
from an IT standpoint, how do we get folks that are sitting in your position in other counties to go for slick and cool? And how do we make this case?
It's a return on investment for us. I mean, it's how much time are you saving? How much money is that saving? Because in this, the economy and local government funding is more about return on investment than slick and cool, I guess. At least that's the way I try it. It doesn't always work with the judges, and it doesn't always work with the elected officials or anybody else but it really is trying to figure out what's the time saving, cost savings, and what all of the components that it's going to need to do, and how much it's going to take to maintain that. And that's why we've gone with the Citrix, which is we've already got that as a mobile solution for laptops, desktops, and people accessing browsers anywhere. And we found that we could install a Citrix client to do that. I'm really interested in this because I think it pushes usability about another 6 or 8 steps because it's built in.
Yeah.
It feels more native to an iPad or Android. So.
The only thing is that TrueSign, you couldn't freeform signing.
Currently,
That's
there's
most-
right. We
yeah.
have to develop the TrueSign for the iPad
Yeah.
client that you would have to put on there to be able to float that in there, and
Yeah,
it's on our
because
roadmap.
Most of our influential users.
They like the freeform sign? That's
yeah,
fine.
they just do signing documents. So if
And
you
what will
don't have
happen?
that-
What will happen with the client when we get that developed for the iPad is iPad has native signing, right, where you can use a stylus pen and sign on there directly. So not only can you float your saved signature, you can actually sign right there on the pad
Great.
with a pen. So you won't need a signature pad device or anything like that, because these are tablets.
Yeah.
Essentially, they're tablet PCs, which allow for that.
From a non-technical point of view, I'm a little confused. On my laptop, I can highlight, I can mark up, I can sign things, but you're saying I can't do those functions with OnBase on an iPad.
You can do the annotations and notes and things like that. We're talking about permanent markups, which TrueSign allows you to do when you're in there and signing, where you can actually strike
I
out
can do
words.
that on my laptop.
Right, and that functionality is a part of a TrueSign client that we'll have to have developed for the iPad to allow you to do that functionality. So currently you can do that in the TrueSign 3.0 has all the markup functionality, and now we just have to port that over into the portable format.
This client is a really young client comparatively speaking to the web client that you're using on your laptop, so it's just going to take a little bit of time for it to get there.
obvious limitations? Not that you want to tell us that, but I'd like to know.
Obvious limitations.
I mean, TrueSign is one we've just talked about, but other areas that we don't have.
A lot of user interaction is not usable through workflow. So if it wants to pop up and request me to fill out another form and do some of these things, they don't work really well, or sometimes not at all. So tasks that don't have any user interaction that can be executed on the server are obviously fine. Ones that require a lot of user interaction might take another version or two of the client to get those fully adopted. That's all I can think of really offhand.
Thank you. I got creator and those kinds of things. I guess
How about config? Why not just
Well, there is a form type config for modifying like the web.config file and everything, and that you could actually access on here if you needed to. But
put a Haskell on mine?
we're Haskell-less. You don't need that
So I
anymore.
can do config.
I just wanted to make a statement. I think the thought process with mobility and the tablet technology is evolving, number one, for business applications a little bit more. But it's more for quicker decisions, things that you need to have insight or decisions that need to be made versus your full-time user interaction type client that you would be using today. So it's considered more of a light client, something that allows you to get decision making pushed out versus actually doing productive work on tablet.
And there is for the iPads and things too. There are VNC viewers and remote desktops, so you can actually remote into a server if you need to make changes and things like that too. So similar to how you could remote in, like nobody actually goes into a server room and accesses a server, right? You do it from your desk and you remote into a server. Same functionality, you could remote in from one of these devices as well. So from an IT or administrative point of view, if you were, waiting at the airport to go on somewhere and you forgot to restart a service, you could remote into your server and essentially start that from your iPad. Okay. Anything else? Great. Okay. Well, thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.